There is a version of you that you still have not met yet, and that is because your nervous system is still in a survival state and in a survival mode. So today I want to go over examples of what those can look like and then examples of how you can get yourself out of those. Survival mode is not a personality trait. It is a nervous system state. So when your body has been used to trying to protect you in a certain mode, you will come up with excuses of why joy feels unsafe or why expansion doesn't feel right. So until you can regulate your nervous system, you will never be able to expand into the states that you really are wanting to call into your life. Survival mode can look like fight, which is pushing, forcing, getting things going that doesn't feel totally aligned. Flight, which means staying busy, even though you're not addressing what is exactly in front of you. Freeze, which is you feel overwhelmed or stuck. And then fawn, which is people pleasing, over-giving, and not really holding your boundaries. Most women live in one of these categories without even realizing it, and it is very difficult to call into a new life when you are in one of these categories because you're constantly trying to regulate other people's nervous systems instead of being in touch with your own. Survival mode can look like staying busy so that you don't actually have to deal with the truth of your life. Survival mode can look like overextending yourself, even though you know you don't have the time or capability. It can look like trying to make a small decision, but it feels so big and that you can't come to the conclusion of that. It can look like tension in your jaw, tension in your chest, over-explaining yourself. All of these things can look like and be patterns in your life, even though they're not serving you. None of these are weakness. They're actually intelligent adaptations that you have made to try and protect yourself. But if you are trying to expand into the authentic and most soul-aligned version of yourself, you can't keep creating these situations and living in these patterns because they're not what's best serving you. It's what is keeping you safe and what is, regulating yourself and other people's nervous system. But these are not meant to lead your future. And they also don't look like chaos. They can look like you're always the one who's super dependable. You're always very capable of doing them. And you're always the one that somebody can call and you drop everything, no matter what's on your plate, to handle those things for those other people, even if you do not have that capacity at that time to handle them. Inside, your body is bracing for the next task and for the next thing that somebody is going to lay on you because everybody knows you're the one they can call and you're the one who's going to drop everything no matter what's going on in their life so that you can come in and help regulate theirs. It's not your job to regulate somebody else's nervous system. It's your job to regulate your own so that you can show up in the most authentic form, in the most one vision version of yourself so that you can be excited and capable with your life and help them lead in the direction that they want to go in. High functioning survival mode is still survival mode. You're not sabotaging your own growth. You are just staying in alignment with what your nervous system feels safe in. For years, I didn't realize I was in survival mode. I actually prided myself on the fact that I was always the girl who could have option A, B, C, D for when the first plan didn't happen. And that was just, I was hyperly planned, and I really thought that that was an incredible thing about myself. But really, it was just, my body was in a constant state that I knew the system that I was living in was not right and was not regulated. And so I would come up with all of these different plans and was always bracing for impact because I knew I was not in alignment with where I should be. But in order for me to feel safe, I would have all of these extra plans in place, and I was hyper vigilant and overly independent, and it wasn't serving me to become the best version of myself because I was in complete out of alignment, and I was constantly regulating everybody else's nervous system and prepared for the impact that they were going to have on mine, and I was just taking it, not setting boundaries, not having an understanding of where I wanted to be. I was just letting people come into my life, and then I was kind of fixing things as I felt was correct to fix. You cannot expand from a dysregulated state. So when you are super emotional or something just happens in your life that was not in alignment with kind of where you thought it was going or what you thought was in the direction that you had planned for, When your system is dysregulated, you cannot expand. So in order to help regulate your nervous system, put both feet on the floor, take a deep breath, hold your hand to your chest or to your stomach, take some deep breaths in, or for me, I always typically walk, whether or not that's a boundary that I've set and I sent a text or I made a phone call, I will walk and I will move through those emotions to really get my body in a state where I feel regulated, so that when things are happening that are different and feel uncomfortable just because they're new, it's giving my body a safety zone, saying we are safe to expand and we are safe to go into this new territory without it feeling overwhelming and without me just sitting there in that emotion. Busyness is definitely one of the most common survival mechanisms that people use, because when you're staying busy, you're not actually having to sit in the silence. The silence is a reflection time of when you're actually looking at your life, when you're actually sitting there in stillness, and your thoughts, you start to think about what is going on in my life. Are those the right decisions? And am I in alignment with where I want to be going? And when you're not, the silence is very, very uncomfortable. So if sitting in silence is uncomfortable and you're not okay with just sitting with yourself and you're constantly overbooking yourself, you're constantly going to the next event, it most likely means that you are not living in alignment with where you want to be. So the overstimulation keeps you distracted from where your body and where your mind actually wants to be. And you're not really taking those steps. You're kind of distracting yourself so that you can stay busy, because when you're busy, you don't have time to think about where you're actually at in your life. When you have no boundaries, your nervous system can never reset, because your nervous system doesn't know who you're going to let come over your boundaries, who you're going to let break your boundaries, and then who you're going to make kind of a major stop on your boundary. So if you're not being consistent with your boundaries for everybody, no matter the relationship, no matter the time of the friendship or the work relationship has been going, and you're constantly, each person has a different kind of variation of your boundary, your nervous system doesn't know what to anticipate. So it can't regulate itself to, we are going to be consistent with everybody, no matter the length of the friendship, no matter the length of the relationship, no matter the depth of it. It doesn't know where it's going to stand and where you're going to land. So it's constantly bracing for impact, which is completely unhealthy, and your nervous system can never completely reset. Overcommitting can also be a trauma response. You don't become more regulated by becoming a highly functional person who can constantly handle stress no matter what comes at you. You become more nervous system regulated when you become more present with yourself, and you become more in touch with your body and your nervous system in each moment. This is why movement has been so important for me. Movement allows your body to feel safe. It knows what's coming next, just one foot in front of the other, or a nice yoga flow, or a nice stretching. Your body feels safe because everything is coming at it very regulated and very still and very calm. You are able to kind of relax into your nervous system, relax into your thoughts, and it becomes a safe place for you to move that energy through, to move those not self-serving thoughts through, to move those new manifestations, hopes, and dreams through, and it becomes a safe place for your body to regulate it. This is also where mirror words can be incredibly effective. It is teaching your body and your mind a new identity that it may not have been able to experience yet. So when you name that word and you make that statement that this is where we want to go, you're intentionally setting kind of and burying a little seed that can grow into something bigger. But it's the first intentional movement and that first step forward that is the most important. Anchoring in micro wins can be extremely positive and super beneficial as well. When you acknowledge one small thing that you did that day, or one small reaction that you had that was different than how you would have handled things in the past, it really starts to give your body and your mind confidence that you are moving in the right direction. Those little micro wins will build and will continue to give your body and your nervous system the acknowledgement that expansion and the new version of you is safe to come into. So acknowledging those daily is extremely important. And you cannot build a future on past tension and past things that were happening in your life. because your future is ahead of you. Learn from those past things, but release them. They're no longer serving you. You no longer need them. And the new version of you is not going to allow those new things or those past things to come into your life, because the new version of you is setting new boundaries, is setting a new identity, is setting a new method. And those things are intentional, and you are not going to betray yourself. Just helping your body and your nervous system understand that you are going to hold those things and continually build off of them will give you the confidence and the excitement to build this new future. When your nervous system feels safe, you feel safe to expand, to breathe better, to move better, to make those micro wins daily, to make kind of larger decisions with confidence. Your body is not in a survival state. Your body is just trying to protect you. So the more you can regulate your nervous system, the more you can expand into the future that you want to have.